National Day broadcast, I outlined the thought of further bloodshed, whatever reasons, must, I'm sure, be revolting to our people.
On the morning of Friday, 13th February 1976, General Murtala Ramat Muhammed left his residence in Ikoyi and was heading to Dodan Barracks, which was the supreme military headquarters at the time. He was driven by his driver in a black Mercedes-Benz 230, and his assistant, Lieutenant Akintunde Akinsehinwa, was also in the car with him. But as they got to a traffic junction on George Street, near the Federal Secretariat Ikoyi, Lagos, an assassination squad led by Colonel Buka Suka Dimka ambushed Murtala's vehicle and immediately opened fire on him, leading to the tragic death of Murtala and two other men in the car with him.
Fellow Nigerians, events of the past few years have indicated that despite our great human and material resources, the government has not been able to fulfill the legitimate expectations of our people. For whatever reasons, must, I'm sure, be revolting to our people.
And today, we are at the museum where the car has been kept ever since the incident, the black Mercedes-Benz 230 in which the head of state was driving in. And since 1976, it's still the same way it was when the attack happened 49 years ago. The bullet holes were still there, and it makes one wonder if Murtala was even going to survive that attack. Unlike many head of states who moved with heavy security, Murtala was known for his simplicity and often traveled in an unarmored Mercedes-Benz 230. Same thing he did on the morning that he was assassinated. He wasn't with any security at the time. The assassination remains one among the most tragical deaths of any head of state in the country's history, especially for the fact that he was the head of state at the time of the attack. General Murtala Muhammed became the third military head of state in July 1975 after a bloodless coup carried out on General Yakubu Gowon. But prior to his achievement, Murtala was from a humble background, born on November 8, 1938 in Kano, Nigeria, into a respected Fulani Muslim family. He attended Sikingida Elementary School and later Government College Zaria, where he was exposed to military discipline and leadership principles. He also trained at the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst in UK, where he developed his leadership and combat skills. Upon his return to Nigeria, he joined the Nigerian Army in 1958, where he quickly rose through the ranks, gaining a reputation for his boldness and strategic thinking. Murtala was a very smart person. Now, during the Nigerian Civil War, which lasted between 1967 and 1970, Murtala played a key role as the general officer commanding of the 2nd Division of Nigerian Army. He was the one who led the controversial Asaba massacre and also the brutal capture of Benin and Onitsha. You see, his aggressive tactics made him one of the most feared and respected military officers in the country at the time.
I outlined the political program of the federal military government.
After the war, Murtala became the Federal Commissioner for Communications, overseeing Nigeria's growing telecommunications sector. However, he was not deeply involved in political decision-making until the military coup of the July 29, 1975. The coup was a turnaround for Murtala. Murtala became the head of state at the age of 36 after the July coup that brought him to power. A bloodless military coup takeover to remove General Yakubu Gowon from office. The coup was carried out by a group of discontented young officers who felt that Gowon's administration had become corrupt, slow, and unresponsive to Nigerians' needs. By 1975, there was growing frustrations among military officers and the publics over Gowon's leadership. Some key issues include failure to return power to civilians, widespread corruption, economic struggles, rising military discontent. So, the coup was carefully planned and executed when Gowon was going to be out of the country. They had checked the time when Gowon was going to travel out, and by that time, they would take over conveniently without any stress and without killing anybody, and that was the plan. So July 29, 1975, Gowon went out of the country for an organized African summit event, and when he was away, the mid-ranking officers took over the country, thereby Murtala Muhammed was installed as the new head of state. Gowon fled from the meeting straight to Ivory Coast and later went to United Kingdom, where he lived in exile for many years. And when Murtala came to power, his style of government was far different from that of Gowon. Murtala Muhammed ruled Nigeria with a firm, decisive and no-nonsense leadership style. Despite being in power for only 200 days, he implemented radical reforms that shaped Nigerians' governance. You see, Toba Soro Murtala, Ogbinyoju, Koda, Oshebebe. His aggressive leadership style earned him admiration from people, but also enemies within the military, leading to his sudden assassination. You know, no matter how many friends you have, there's still going to be enemies among them. And that was how they killed Murtala. And here is why. Murtala was the military ruler who made quick, uncompromising decisions. He almost doesn't wait for any of his committees before he carries out his plan. Everything about him was so quick. It is like being alone at the top. Murtala was above them all. He focuses on efficiency and disciplines. He was smart, but as it was going, he was having a lot of enemies, especially within the military. Because the junior officers felt isolated, they felt Murtala was doing like this. He was making decisions without even asking them, how is this going to go? Is this proper? Is this this? Is this that? No. And you know that kind of feelings that come when you have a leader and your leader doesn't even ask you, should I do this? Should I do this? Is it best? Is it best? Before they make decision. That was what Murtala was doing. So they felt, okay, it seems as if this man is going to be full of himself. He's still young, 36 years of age, and he's doing all of this. Come on, we have to take him out. And that was how the assassination came. This assassination was led by Lieutenant Colonel Buka Suka Dimka. Suka was a very smart man. We all know him in the military. So on the morning of Friday, February 13, 1976, the day of the assassination, Murtala left his house in Ikoyi and was heading to Dodan Barracks, which was the supreme headquarters for the head of state at the time. And as he was planning to leave his home, he used to follow his usual routine of driving in his car without heavy security, escort, or anything. Murtala used to be like this. If he's traveling or going anywhere, he will not go with any security because he believed that he is the head of state and nothing can harm him, which is supposed to be so. And honestly, nothing is able to harm him unless people that are inside the military. This idea of being a free man made him vulnerable to the ambush that killed him at Ikoyi.
This is not the first time, of course, that we as a people have participated in the fashioning of a constitution for our country.
So, he was driving in his black Mercedes-Benz 230 by his driver and assistant, Lieutenant Akintunde Akinsehinwa. But when they got to a traffic junction near the Federal Secretariat in Ikoyi, the car slowed down, and unknown to them that Suka Dimka, along with other conspirators, were already waiting for him at the junction. They were hidden somewhere. And you know Murtala cannot see all of them. Person where they chase you, you know if you see him. Now the person go to see you, and that was the case. So immediately they sighted the Mercedes-Benz coming. The assassinators jump out and open fire on Murtala's car. Bah, 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 bah. The head of state for that matter. Several shots was fired, and since the car was unarmored, it wasn't bulletproof. The gunshot penetrated its body and went straight to kill Murtala Muhammed immediately inside the car, and two others of them in the car died too. Everything happened within a blink of an eye, and they did everything sharp, and these assassinators fled away. You see, few minutes after the attack, Dimka rushed to the radio Nigeria in Ikoyi to announce the coup, claiming that a new military had taken over, meaning Dimka is now the next head of state. You know how military regimes are. Once you have the power, you announce yourself. You don't wait for anybody to vote for you. It wasn't democracy. Tobati Lagbara, take over. But unfortunately for Dimka, his plan was not going to work because senior military officers led by Olusegun Obasanjo and Lieutenant General Theophilus Danjuma, they regrouped themselves and countered the coup, meaning they start fighting Dimka. The military shut down the radio Nigeria, cutting off Dimka's propaganda. So many military officers refused to support Dimka. They turned their back against him because why would you do such thing? Why would you kill Murtala, someone who is working properly? You just went ahead and attacked him and ambushed and kill him like that. It doesn't make sense. And by evening time of that day, the coup had collapsed and Lagos was back under the government's control. Apparently, Dimka failed in taking over, but he had already killed Murtala. So what Dimka did was that he fled out and went to hide somewhere outside of Lagos, because if they catch him, they go kill him. There is no lawyer that can stand for him. It is the military. The same way you buy this person, they would buy you too. But sadly, General Murtala Muhammed was buried on the same day that he was assassinated. According to Islamic rite, his body was laid to rest at the cemetery in Kano, which was his hometown. And the following day, Olusegun Obasanjo was appointed the new head of state. Sharp. No wasting of time, since he was the second to Murtala when he was alive. And about a month after, Suka Dimka was caught in the eastern side of Nigeria with 2 prostitutes or something like that. He was brought back to Lagos and he faced some military tribunals who sentenced him to death by firing squad alongside the assassinators that carried out the job on Murtala.
Of course, being a soldier, I made it a point of duty that I have an honor to maintain, and I believe I have no reason at this stage to lie. So all that you have heard it has been my personal recording.
Murtala Muhammed assassination was a tragic event, but his legacy lived on and his name remains significant in Nigerian history.
For whatever reasons, must, I'm sure, be revolting to our people. This is not the first time, of course, that we as a people have participated in the fashioning of a constitution for our country. For whatever reasons, must, I'm sure, be revolting to our people.